Well, how are you today? If your house is still standing, you're in better shape than a lot of people. If you've watched the news or if you've been involved in it yourself, tornadoes just tore through the Midwest last night from Texas clear up through Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa. There's a lot of people got hit by it, and a lot of people have been displaced and out of power and suffering as a result of it. There's a lot of things that we think about, and a lot of things that we know we need to prepare for. And Mother Nature is definitely one of them. I'm going to give you some tips on what you need to think about to survive, particularly a tornado type situation. A hurricane's a lot different than a tornado. A tornado's a lot different than a wildfire. An earthquake is an entirely different thing together. But there are a lot of things that we contend with on a human level that we think we can prepare for. But I'll tell you, when nature comes at us, all we can do is survive. So that's what I want to talk about. Interestingly enough, I've lived all of my life in Kansas and Missouri. And I've only seen one tornado. I mean, we're famous for being Tornado Alley. At least we were. We don't get as many. I tell you, there's more of them going down south nowadays, it seems to me. And maybe that's just my perception, but it seems to me that tornadoes have been shifting a little bit south and east. But Kansas, of course, is known for wheat and tornadoes and cattle towns. So, and gunfighters. Wizard of Oz, right? I've only seen one. And I tell you, it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. I was in seventh grade. The alarms went off. We went down to the lower floor, but as I was passing, I was going across a big glass bridge in our school. And as I was walking, I looked up, and there was this tornado. It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. I mean, until you have seen a tornado, you don't know what big is. I mean, think about something that goes from the clouds clear down to the ground, and it wasn't raggedy like a lot of them that you see, and it wasn't particularly well. It was big, but it took out a grade school, Catherine Carpenter Elementary School. But it was called the white tornado because it hadn't picked up a lot of dirt and debris from the ground, and that's what causes that. It's the dirt that's stirring up that makes them dark. But it was just as smooth as could be, came down from the clouds, and it was just like, I was probably like a bird watching a cobra or something. I mean, I just stood there transfixed, and the teacher had to grab me by my shirt and say, "Come on, let's go." But I've only seen that one. Now, a few things to keep in mind, and this may apply to other, natural events. Now, it wouldn't apply to a hurricane. Obviously, it wouldn't apply to a forest fire. But if you're talking about tornadoes or high winds, because there's a lot of damage done just by high winds. Doesn't have to be a tornado. We've had a lot of damage around here with, what do they call them, microbursts and such. And years ago, it seemed like we had more of these. Don't worry, I'll get back to what I'm talking about in just a second. But when I was working at the hospital, it seemed like Kelly and the kids were calling me all the time in the evening saying, "Hey, we're down in the basement and tornado warnings and all that." We haven't had that many in the last few years. Maybe it's kicking back up. Now, here's the thing to keep in mind about tornadoes or anything that might be of that ilk. First off, if you can get underground, that's what you want to do. Every back in the old days, back out in the plains, and some places still have these, you had root cellars. And I never really understood why they put them away from the house. Now, not everybody did. A lot of people had their cellar door, outside the house. And if you remember, again, that scene from Wizard of Oz where she's running around, is she trying to find her dog or something? I don't know. Well, anyway, the family's going out there and getting in the root cellar. And like I say, I never understood why they put them away from the house. Maybe there's a reason that I'm just not aware of. But, if possible, you want to be able to get underground through your house. You don't have to go outside and go down underneath. So if you have a basement, that's the best thing. If you have a fortified structure in the basement, a safe room, whatever like that, that's even better. Your main danger from these kinds of things is debris blowing through the air. You've probably seen the and they are just as well. You can't figure them out, and you've probably seen the pictures of a whole house demolished, just blown apart. Looks like an atomic explosion. A whole town, and here will be a card table with a box of cornflakes on it, right? Just not even bothered. There is just, these things are amazing. Or you might have seen pictures of a wheat stalk driven into a tree. I mean, the power of these things is just beyond belief. So anyway, get underground. You want as fortified as position as you can. If you can't get underground, get in the innermost portion of your house that is the most fortified, usually an inner bathroom or something like that. But that can be a problem too. Get underground, get down in the basement. This might be a project that many of you might want to think about. If you've been thinking about, I won't say the bunker word. Ooh, I just did, didn't I? I won't say that. But if you have been thinking about maybe fortifying a place in your basement, for storing things like food and other things that you might want, this is another reason to do that. So get down there. Now, once you're down there, the problem is you want all the food that you need, you want all the water that you need. You want, in case you're down there for a while, you would like to have, hygienic facilities. You know what I'm talking? A bathroom, right? If possible, or a way to take care of that business because of what I'm about to say here. Usually, if you get down underground, the tornado, even if it passes over you, okay, it'll pass over you. You can come back out. Your house may be gone, but and everything will be wet and blown around. But at least you'll be alive, and now you can contact your insurance company and get started over. Maybe you'll be on the news. The problem is that in the case of a tornado, things collapse on top of other things. And if you're in a basement, if you have stuff collapsed on top of your basement door or your egress, now you have a problem. So here's the thing that many people don't think about, and that is having tools in their secured area to get out. And what I would suggest for that, I would suggest pickaxes, shovels, pry bars, and a battery-operated chainsaw. Okay, not a gas operated. You want to be down there, everything's come down on top of you, and you'd be running a gas chainsaw down there. That's where battery operated. Matter of fact, I'm going to get myself a new one. I've always used steels. I'm getting away from steels. I really am. I won't get into that now, but I've switched over several years ago to a battery operated lawnmower, and I am real happy with it. And don't have to mess with the gas and oil and everything like that. And I'm about to buy a battery operated chainsaw just to see if I like it. My brother loaned me one of those little handheld ones. Man, that thing works great. So I'm going to get a full size battery operated chainsaw, and I'll see how I like it. Maybe I'll do a review on it for that. But for your tools down there, you want a way to dig yourself out or cut your way out if you have to, because some of these areas, I mean, there was parts, was it Des Moines? No, it was Omaha, I think. Des Moines or Omaha, I forget. I just glanced through the news that it just took out a whole section of their suburbs. And, the emergency services people, they're going to be busy. A lot of them are going to be hit too, but they're going to be busy. And it's probably going to be up to you to get yourself out if you are stuck underground. And you don't want to do that because of other things. First off, it could bust water lines. And what if your basement is filling up with water? You need to get out of there. It can bust gas lines. You need to get out of there. It can take down electrical lines. You need to get out of there. Once it's passed over you, you want out of there. So just keep those things in mind. You know, there are other plans. I'm no expert on hurricanes. I don't live in hurricane alley, if they call it. You know, I think the key to that is to get out in time, right? I'm always amused at the people who want to wait out the hurricane. But I understand that too, because, you know, in Kansas, it's kind of a thing that, you know, tornadoes are coming. Oh, okay, let me go out on my front step and watch it. You know, it can't get me. Well, it can. It gets a lot of people. But, you know, surprisingly, a surprisingly small number of people are killed by tornadoes. But and then you have things like the one in Joplin, Missouri, some years ago, and I mean it'll just the damage that a tornado can cause is beyond what most people can even believe. If you ever have the opportunity to go in and help in a tornado damaged area, you won't believe what you see. So anyway, our thoughts and our prayers are with those people, everyone from Texas up through Kansas and Nebraska and Iowa who has been affected by this. If you get a call from one of your relatives that got hit, expect to put them up for a while, right? Okay. And remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And it's not just for the collapse of the dollar or the government or world wars or civil wars or whatever. Mama Nature can bring plenty of stuff your way that you need to be ready for. So you all have a good day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.